Well, guys, this was it. This was the big one. After waiting since 2015 during Kong Skull Island's announcement that Godzilla and King Kong would cross over, we finally got it. King Kong versus Godzilla, or I should really say Godzilla versus Kong. I've been waiting for this one for a while, clearly. I mean, who wouldn't want to see one giant monster beat the living crap out of another giant monster? And I know a lot of you are actually curious what my thoughts are, so I'm here to give it to them. I'm not going to start out spoiler, like we'll save that for afterwards, but we'll do like my general basic thoughts right now. So what did I think of the movie? It's exactly what I wanted it to be. Just the concept of a giant hairy monkey beating up a giant oversized fire-breathing lizard. Yeah, that's what you pay to see. There's a lot of homages to the original franchises for both. I'll save that for the spoilers section. But yeah, you can clearly tell that Adam Wingard, the director, actually really gave a shit. And happened to be a monster fan himself, of course. I did like the characters. I kind of thought it was a little weird that King Kong's got his buddies going on while Godzilla's, Scooby Gang's got their little adventure going on. But I don't think there was a moment I sat through this where I was actually bored. It delivered on pretty much every aspect. I thought, to be honest, with all this COVID stuff going on at the moment, the fact that it's been, $350 million at the box office right now amongst theaters not showing screens, which, by the way, since I haven't been on camera for a while, I hope everybody's been safe, hope everybody's been doing well. But yeah, no, the fact that this was able to score so high on the box office charge really says something about theatrical showings. I mean, it was also a thing where you could also view it at home on HBO Max. You just pay the $15 and obviously you have the subscription fee. But yeah, no, I was one of those people that actually wanted to see it in the theater. The funny story about the theater, though, I went to go see it that Wednesday that it came out. They originally had it on a Friday, they changed it over to Wednesday. And I could not get a single ticket. I went at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock showing, and our theater, the only one that we have open, said they didn't have any. Like, they didn't have any for the rest of the night. Not just 7 o'clock. We're talking 5 o'clock, 7, 9 o'clock, and not even just Godzilla vs. Kong. Every other movie on the planet, too. So, it's actually really refreshing to hear that there's a general interest in going back to the theater. As a past Godzilla and King Kong fan, and actually somebody who's been made fun of numerous times for actually liking these movies, I'm very glad that the movie's doing so well and people are actually talking about it. In a sense where it's like, oh, this is the coolest thing they've seen. Well, it has nothing else to compete with at the moment, but it's so refreshing. This isn't like the 60s, 70s where you have guys in suits clobbering each other. But no, it was really nice to hear that, people have actually taken interest in this. And the Monsterverse, I'm okay with it ending right here. If it ends, it ends. They don't get the contracts worked out, it's fine. But if they do continue it, please continue it. I'm totally okay with that. Speaking of the copyrights issues, I have no idea how this actually works. No idea. King Kong's rights are tied up into 20 different companies. Godzilla, on the other hand, a Japanese studio, not even an American studio. So the fact that they were able to figure this all out to get those two together, kudos. This was actually, I never in 1,000 years would have suspected that Godzilla and King Kong would show up again in a movie together, and somehow they figured out how to make it work. Only we could get Gamera right. Alexander Skarsgård was good. I really liked him. There wasn't a dull moment. The only thing I kind of thought was weird was Millie Bobby Brown's character. She really didn't have a whole lot to do in this movie, and it's weird because the movie actually mainly focuses on King Kong and this whole journey into this hollow earth place, and that's what it's about. Monarch, in a sense, uses King Kong as a guide to find this supposed hollow earth that's the beginning of all these giant monsters. Godzilla, on the other hand, his only main conception is King Kong is an alpha male, so I gotta go beat him up. And I mean, it's a silly concept, but it works. As a whole, my overall general consensus, I like the film. There was a lot of things that they did right this time that they got wrong in the past movies. In the first Godzilla movie, it was so dark I could barely see what was going on. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, it was dark again, but there was like lightning and blue light. It looked almost like cutscenes to a video game. I wasn't really impressed by it. But here, they fight in the day. Not Las Vegas, it looks like Las Vegas, it's Hong Kong, but the whole cityscape is so lit up. It's these bright neon colors, and it's so weird. Anyway, so he got that fixed. The only thing I remember seeing when I saw the trailer was, how are these two able to stand on an aircraft carrier? I'll still never figure that one out, but it's still such a cool shot, I don't even care. But now, into the spoilers themselves. So, I'm posting it right here. If you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. And if you have, stick around. Spoiler alert. So let's talk about Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla is one of those characters I never thought would actually get an Americanized version, but then again, I never thought King Ghidorah, Rodan, or Mothra would either. So, the way that they do Mechagodzilla is a roundabout way. We created him, yes, but Mechagodzilla started off as an alien origin of sorts. And the way that they bring back King Ghidorah's severed head, or Kevin, as everybody calls it, Kevin, it's a weird way to basically work around this alien origin that Mechagodzilla has nonetheless. But I knew this was going to be a Batman versus Superman type scenario where they're like, okay, they fight each other, and then here comes the big guy, and so, like, the big bad guy, and then they have to go fight him. There's a nice callback to when King Kong shoves this axe down Godzilla's throat. It reminds me of the tree in King Kong vs. Godzilla from 1992. It's great. When King Kong's climbing up on top of the one building to throw the other thing to distract Godzilla, that reminds me of the 33 King Kong. But now on to the big one. I knew Godzilla was going to win. I straight up knew Godzilla was going to win. But for all intents and purposes, I always root for the underdog, so that's why I took Team Kong. Plus, I kind of wanted to showcase that I have equal mutual love for King Kong as well as Godzilla. So, obviously, it's like a human going up against a flaming torch. You're not going to win. It just is what it is. But, nevertheless, it was a heck of a showdown, and King Kong actually put in his best effort. My favorite part in this entire thing was when Godzilla stands triumphant over him and roars at him. King Kong doesn't take that. He roars right back. King Kong on the air balloons, that was a fun little callback too to the 62 movie. There's a lot of callbacks I happen to see, and again, it clearly shows that Wingard is just as much of a fan as you or me. So, what would I recommend for past Godzilla or King Kong movies that anybody would obviously like to check out? If you want a good Godzilla movie to start out with and you don't know where to start, I would recommend Godzilla 2000. It hits all the high notes of what a Godzilla movie should be. It's relatively more recent. And a good King Kong movie would be Peter Jackson's King Kong. The Jack Black version, as most people say. Anybody who's interested in the older movies, the 1933 black and white King Kong, if you can sit through a black and white movie, have at it. The original Godzilla King of the Monsters from '54, awesome. Do it. If you want a weird fight type, like an older knock'em sock'em Godzilla movie, I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually prefer it a lot. Godzilla vs. Gigan. At least those are my picks, for anybody who's interested. If you want to see all the previous movies before this movie, though, I would start with 2014 Godzilla with Bryan Cranston, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. But other than that, yeah. This is exactly what I wanted out of a Godzilla vs. King Kong movie. And I'm so happy that somebody finally had the idea to bring these two back together and figured out how to legally. So, kudos guys over at WB and Legendary. You made a little kid's dream come true on a big screen. Seeing a monkey right hook a giant lizard in the face. I would really recommend going and seeing this movie.